This Memorial Day weekend, we honor the fallen, and there's no better way to do that than by sharing their stories and the stories of their families. Army Ranger Sergeant First Class Joseph Kapacheski was severely wounded in an ambush in northern Iraq in 2005. He then made history as the first Army Ranger to return to active combat with a prosthetic leg, eventually serving more than 10 deployments before his death. He became the first enlisted soldier ever to receive the No Greater Sacrifice Freedom Award given to individuals who epitomize selfless service to the nation. His children were also selected for No Greater Sacrifice scholarships. The organization is centered around helping the kids of fallen and wounded service members in their pursuit of higher education and mentoring. The Kapacheski family joins us now. Kimberly and sons Wyatt and Cody, welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Kimberly, what has No Greater Sacrifice meant to you and your beautiful family?
For us, the sacrifice has been immense. And the thing with No Greater Sacrifice is that they honor the sacrifices of service members by investing in our children. And so these two boys next to me, they have really paid the ultimate price through our time being a military family and with the loss of Joe. And so knowing that No Greater Sacrifice is there to support us through higher education has been just a great gift to have. But not only has No Greater Sacrifice stepped in to help with the boys' higher education, they've done so much more for us. They were there with us when Joe was injured. So we actually have been through the program in twofold. Originally, we were gifted the scholarships as a wounded veteran. But now that we have lost Joe, No Greater Sacrifice has been there for us every step of the way. They made sure that we weren't treated as a number, not just a Social Security number, when we were going through his passing and then the days and weeks and months to come. But they made sure that we felt seen and heard. They honored Joe really well and just made sure that we knew that they cared. And it's just been amazing to be a part of that No Greater Sacrifice family.
Memorial Day is personal for you. What does it mean to you, Kimberly?
That is a threefold question for me. First and foremost, we lost our hero. We lost Joe, and this is a time for us to honor and reflect on that. Much to some people's surprise, we didn't lose Joe on the battlefield, although many years ago he was hit by a grenade and he decided that not today. That was not going to be the day that took him. He clawed his way back, even as an amputee, to become the first Ranger to the front lines of combat. But we lost him years later to wounds that never fully healed. To me, Memorial Day is not just about those who died in uniform on the battlefield, but also a time to remember those who came back from battle, but never fully returned, and those who, left pieces of themselves over there, but they never quite found a way to return to life back here. And so for me, I can't talk about sacrifice without also thinking about the families and how much they have sacrificed. And I think it's important to, to have a nod to that. So the harsh reality is that Joe is gone. Joe's not going to see the flags that are flying. He's not going to see the fresh flowers at Arlington, and he's not going to get that coupon code for the Memorial Day sale in his email. But the survivors that are left to pick up the pieces after we've lost a service member, the survivors do see those things. And so I see that as a nod. I see that as a nod to all the sacrifice that we have given. And I also see that as a shared burden. And I appreciate the nation, our nation, the United States, and everything that people do to, wave those flags through this weekend, because it helps me to know that it wasn't for nothing.
All right, I want to talk to the handsome guys. Wyatt, what do you want folks at home to know about your father?
That he was the most hardworking person you'd ever meet. And he was always trying to make himself the best version of himself. He would say that every day. And he would work out every day. He would swim, he would walk. He would just, his number one goal in life was to just make himself better always.
Cody, what about you? What do you want to tell us about your wonderful father?
Dad was a very fun person. He loved hiking a lot. Even though it was in the blazing heat, he was a great teacher. Stop chuckling. Yes. But also, he really loved ice cream. We loved it. And us. And we love Talk to Pops and Lydia because they're in Wyoming. Yeah.
We're seeing pictures of you interacting with your dad. Kimberly, do you have a final message for folks about no greater sacrifice? We're nearly out of time.
No greater sacrifice really invests in the children. And I think that they are the ones that really, they don't realize how much they have sacrificed, because for these guys, it's all they've ever known was Joe serving and gone. So no greater sacrifice has been there every step of the way. It is the real deal organization. They really put their money where their mouth is and support. And it's a great one to be a part of.
Kimberly, Wyatt, Cody, thank you so much for taking time to talk about your dad and about this great organization.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.